This is Vaught Tolbert with VT Insurance Agency, and today we will be discussing chemical limits and what all that entails for your aerial application drone business. So we're going to start with the different levels, which are going to be your excluding chemical, limited chemical, and comprehensive chemical. And then we're going to discuss what are the typical limits that we typically see for these types of policies. Starting with the first, the excluding chemical is going to cover you for seeding and fertilizing operations. Basically, anything you can do with a dry box. The next level is going to be your limited chemical. And just like that sounds, it is going to limit you from all types of chemical, but not all the others. So you will have coverage for your fungicide and insecticide work, but will not have coverage for your comprehensive, which will include the herbicides and defoliants. So jumping ahead, let's talk about it. The comprehensive chemical will cover you for herbicides and defoliants and is going to be a requirement for some states. Now, with comprehensive chemical, does usually include the crops treated and adjacent fields coverage, which are your first-party chemical liabilities. This is going to cover you not just for third-party drift onto neighboring farms, which will include property damage and bodily injury, but also include first-party chemical if you were to damage or destroy the field that you're intending to spray for while doing custom application or commercial work. Now, the different set of levels of coverage are going to be slightly different than what you typically see in ground-based spraying policies. For instance, our typical starting levels are going to be at $100,000 limits. And you're going to see this broken down into the 131. That stands for $100,000 for personal injury per person, $300,000 personal injury per occurrence, and then $100,000 of property damage. And then you will typically have an aggregate of either $100,000 to $300,000 with those limits. Next, we can also get you what are called smooth limits, which are going to be 100 across the board, 300,000 across the board, or 500,000 across the board. In some rare cases where it's warranted, we can also look at getting $1 million worth of coverage, but that does get very expensive and is rare in our industry. Lastly, we can look at blanket options. And what we're talking about there is having one blanket chemical liability for your entire fleet of drones. This is only going to start to make sense once you do have a fleet of at least 3 or more drones. Because with the blanket, it does come with increased premiums, but does provide the required coverages for the states that you're flying in. If you'd like, please give us a call at VT Insurance to discuss these types of limits and options that we can provide for you to customize your policy for your operations.